Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to discuss this question: did Imam Al Ghazali put an end to the Islamic Golden Age? Okay, or is he just a false accusation? So you will see a lot of people, like for instance, Neil deGrasse Tyson. There's this scientist that always talks about Imam Al Ghazali and how he put an end to Islamic Golden Age, the rise of Islam and technology and those kind of things. And some people have come to the defense of Imam Al Ghazali that no, he didn't, or if you interpret him that way, maybe that's not the right way to interpret him. So anyway, we're going to dive into it, and maybe even you, what is your stance on these kind of questions? And it kind of eluded me. I didn't know why that charge was made. Like, I never got it. Why people saying is against science and things like that. So now, after studying philosophy and occasionalism, and the Asherite position on this occasionalism thing, I kind of get it. How scientists might see like this is actually against science, and when I break it down, you understand it too, and you see like are you with Imam Al Ghazali on this or the Asharis? So it shouldn't be actually only Imam Al Ghazali. It should be the entire Ashari Akida stuff, because it's not just Imam Al Ghazali. And even you, what is your stance on this? So I'm going to explain to you what is the main problem. So short answer, no. Did he put an end to the Islamic Golden Age? No, he didn't. Okay, you had things like war, regime deterioration, normal thing that happens to empires. They rise and then they fall. That's one way. Okay, science also is an emergent property. It's not like it was science that made the Islamic empire really strong. It wasn't science. It was their power, their military power, and science was just what's it called? A property that emerged from that. It's also part of it, but it's not the main thing that made it thrive and stuff like that. Okay, there were other things. Now, that aside, now is Imam Al Ghazali just being consistent on the religious teachings, or is he just making these things up? Okay, is he making it up, or is he just being consistent? And even you, will you be consistent about these things? So I will talk about occasionalism, and I'll show you how this might be what they meant by saying like it's against science. Okay, so now I will give you some kind of questions, and I want to hear your answers about these questions. Some of you, it will sound familiar to you. You already know where I'm going with this. Okay, take for instance, I think in the Bible it says like the sun stood still. The sun, you know, the sun, it stood still. Is it possible for the sun to stand still? Okay, that's one. Is it possible for a virgin to give birth without a man? Is it possible? Is it possible for fire not to burn when it comes in contact with something else? Is it possible? Is it possible for a camel to come out of a rock? Is it possible for a knife not to cut something? Okay, what is your answer to these things? Is it possible? If your answer is no, it's not possible, then you are right to charge Imam Al Ghazali with it being against science. But if you're not, if you say like no, that is possible, if God wants it to be, then you're already on the path. If you say it's possible, if God says no, the knife is not going to cut and it's not going to work. If you say no, it's possible for a virgin to give birth, it's possible for a camel to come out of a rock. If you believe all these things, you call them miracles, right? To God, they're just normal things. Okay, God can make it happen, right? Now you see where we're going with this. What Imam Al Ghazali and the Asharites, you can understand them in two ways. You can think that they are denying causation. If you think they are denying causation, and science is built on the idea of causation, induction, cause and effect. That's what science is built on, induction, right? Now, if they are saying a knife does not necessarily have to cut, what they are denying is that something else can result from. They are denying the necessity between the cause and the effect. So normally, if fire comes in contact with someone's body or cotton, it's going to burn it. What they are saying is that it's not necessary. It's not necessary that the fire should burn an object. It's not necessary. If you don't believe this, then you are with the scientists, guys. You are with the scientists. So Imam Al Ghazali actually, he finds himself in a weird position. On the one hand, you have the ultra fundamentalist, or even some of them really they charge him with philosophy, that this guy is a philosopher and stuff. On the other hand, the philosophers and the scientists, they charge him with, what is this guy doing? This is not philosophy. They charge him with like he's saying nonsense too. So he's being bashed on from both sides really. So some of you, when you charge Imam Al Ghazali with philosophy, just know that the philosophers don't accept him, at least in some of his critique, because this is one of the positions of the Ashari Akida, okay? The idea of God is ultimately in charge, okay? So they are denying necessary causation. They are not denying causation per se. If you think they are denying causation per se, absolutely, then you can have an argument. But what they are really denying is necessary causation, I think. Now, even you might actually, your position might be close to the Mu'tazila. If you guys you're against Mu'tazila and stuff, you might give an answer that is actually the Mu'tazila position. So don't think you are safe here. Most of you guys are hate the Asharites, okay? Now, what do you think about this question? There's this verse in the Quran that says, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Okay, by the way, all those examples I gave, apart from the one of the sun standing still, they are examples from the Quran. Okay, all those things about virgin birth and camel coming out of a rock and things like that. Normally, science will say this is impossible because of the nature of things. The nature of fire is to burn. It cannot come in contact with cotton and it will not burn. That is you have destroyed science. If you believe these things, you have destroyed science. That's why the scientists will never believe this. They will have to find another way to explain it. They will never believe that this thing. They will believe everything has a nature and it will follow its nature, no matter what. If like they can literally say even God cannot stop it from happening. So you know normally the sun is in the center of the universe and stuff like that. They believe if anything happens to the sun, the whole world will be destroyed. There's nothing God can do about it. Do you understand what it means? See, you might be stuck in between because even me, I was thinking about it. What is going on here? You might want to say God designed things. So the design arguments that a lot of religious people use is about things being in a particular order and this is necessary and God has made it that way. But what the Asherites or some of these people, what they're actually saying is that all those things are not necessary. God can do it in another way and it will still be fine. So the sun can be removed from its orbit and the world will not, and nothing will happen to us. You might think that is like weird, but that's what they're saying. They're saying you have attached correlation to those things. You think they are necessary, but they are not. It is God that is making it. So instead of saying, so what would you understand what is going on here? They are saying if the sun is removed from its orbit, nothing will happen to us. If God says nothing will happen to us, because it wasn't the sun that was causing us to be like that, to be safe all this while. It was actually God. That's the Ashari's position, and occasionally his position, I think. But the other guys will say, no, God has designed it this way. This is the nature God has attached to it. If anything happens to it, the world will be destroyed because it has to follow necessarily. It's like a car running, like a moving car. If you stop it immediately at full speed, everything inside that car will be smashed up. That is what will happen according to the laws that we've witnessed constantly. And the Asharis don't actually deny this. They don't deny that there's constant correlation, that we see these things happening many times. Yeah, no problem. In fact, they can agree with you. Like, that's what will happen. But if any point in there, God says no, a car running at full speed and it stops at the point immediately, nothing will happen to anybody inside that car. God can decide because you are the one that, because of your constant attachment, that you have seen these things happen over and over again, you think the next time it happens, it is necessary for this effect to happen. And they deny this. Just like even David Hume and other people, they deny causation in that very sense of the word. They just affirm correlation. But we can even affirm this kind of soft causation. But we know that at any point, it was God all this while causing those things to be like that. So anyway, now to end this video, let's just go to the next point. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What do you think this verse means? What do you think it means? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Some people say, okay, la hawla wa la quwwata, especially that or last part, wa la quwwa. There is no power. Now I thought about this a long time. Like, what is this verse really saying? Is it saying that we don't have power, or is it saying that God is just in charge of things? I'm like, what does this verse mean? Even you think about it. What do you think it means? Do you think this verse is saying we have no power, absolutely, or somehow we have power? God already gave us power, and we can use our power however we want. Okay, these are the two opinions. You can say God gave us power, So the Mu'tazila and even like maybe the philosophers, they will not say that we created our own power. They will say God gave us the power. But once God gave us the power, we can do whatever we want with it. Okay, so guys, it's either God gave us power. They will believe, like the philosophers and the philosopher and Mu'tazila, they will say yes, God created us. Therefore, we didn't create ourselves. So the power God gave us, then we can do whatever we want with the power. The other position saying La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah means we don't even have power right now. We have no power right now to do anything. No power whatsoever. It is God, only God that has power. Or only God is causally efficacious. Only God can cause anything to happen. So, can I move my hand? In this sense, it looks like, I am the one with the power moving my hand, right? That is one position. The other position, the Asherite position, is that no, even my hand will never move if God is really the one moving my hand. And this ties into their whole system of Casper and all these other things. But the point is that they are denying something fundamentally here, that creation has power. Creation cannot cause anything to happen. There's no causal necessity anywhere in the universe. So when you see a ball hit another ball and the other ball moves, you think it is necessary. They're saying it is not necessary. You can already see how this is anti-science, quote unquote anti-science, because that's what science is built upon. We making observation and these things. And how can we do science when we don't even believe this thing will repeat? If induction is false, why should I think the speed of light will be constant? Why should I think all these things will be constant? There are no constants. You can throw a glass at a mirror today and it breaks. Tomorrow, the glass turns into an elephant. You cannot do science in that kind of world, right? But the Asherites, they will not want to be too strict with this, or the occasionalists. They will say, yeah, everything will remain constant because God says so. God has already said everything will be constantly in a way. You will not find defects in the way of God. God will make it constant. But you don't think it means it's necessary. Don't think it means like it cannot be any other way. Don't make it necessary. It's still contingent. And anything can result from. God can decide that the fire will not burn. Just like when Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into the fire. قُلْ يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى Ibrahim. That is anti-science. You want to talk about science? Who cares? Like, what do you think about those things? Do you think scientists believe these things can happen? No. They will explain to you how it is necessary when the fire touches the atoms of your body, and that is what you should burn necessarily. But somehow it's cool for Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? So you see, now you might want to be like, I know you want to be scientist guy or stuff like that. No problem. The Asharis are not denying science. They can, even though you can read them as that. Okay, you can read them as that. But you can still do science because you believe God will keep on making induction work. You can believe in science like that. But don't ever think what you see is necessary and without God it can even continue to exist, because then they believe no, without God nothing will happen. Without God these things have no power even in the first place. So what is the point? So you understand this point, and you will now see that you can, both positions actually, they have arguments. Like you'll find people on the other side like Ibn Rushd and other people talking about, what do you mean like things don't have nature? They cannot understand. Or how can you say things that have no nature? But the Asherites have their own strong arguments also. And if you watch my last video when I was talking about underdetermination, you can really see why more in modern science, I think the Asherites have a very strong argument. I'm telling you, like their position to me makes more sense. Okay. And I also have other things that I will tie it into for you guys to see how it can actually help you as a Muslim to live in this kind of world. It can help you, for instance, deal with things that are beyond your power, deal with addiction and things like that. I will make other videos where I will explain these things, and how this occasionalism, where we actually give power back to God. All the power we give it back to God. Like your notion, you thought you had power. Why about you forget about that? You have no power in this world. Normally, where do you get this power from even? Is it that you ascribe this power to nature? Why don't you just ascribe it to God? Absolutely. It's not like a partial thing. Absolutely, I have no power. Absolutely. Because, okay, where are you getting this power? Why am I getting this power to speak and to make these videos and to move? The scientists will tell me it's not even me. It is the my mitochondria. The mitochondria and enzymes and things like this convert stuff in your body. You are not in charge of it. You are not the one doing these things anyway. It is either nature, mitochondria. So who give you power? It is either mitochondria or it is God. If you as an entity, you have no say in these things anyway. Like, you cannot decide these things. Like, I want energy. Let me create energy now. All you can do is put food in your mouth and expect something to happen. And so all of a sudden, mitochondria is there. Those little things, your white blood cells, all these things are literally moving entities. They are on their own doing things that you are not in charge of it. You're just witnessing them happening. So why don't you just give all this power to God anyway? And that's what I think the Ash'arite position is. So let me see what you guys think in the comment section. You can see how it can be interpreted that it was against science, and you can see how, if you think about it deeply, it didn't deny causation entirely. What is denying is that entities or creation, they have no causal power, and also what we observe most of the time is correlation, and God can decide it to be another way, and it wouldn't be a contradiction as you think, because it wasn't necessary in the first place, such that it will become a contradiction. So anyway, do you guys understand this? I'll make more videos about occasionalism, especially in relation to all those things I've talked about. What do you guys think in the comment section? See you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.